This episode of 6'5 Guys is brought to you by Defiance Machine, defying tradition with innovation. RBros Rifles, precision on another level. JC Steel Targets, the industry leader in quality AR-500 steel targets.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of 6'5 Guys. I'm Ed Mobley.
And I'm Steve Lawrence.
And today we bring you another in our series where we look at the people and personalities in the sport of long-range precision rifle. And today we have with us Travis Redell of RBros Rifles. And as many of our viewers know, your rifles are a rifle of choice, and it's served us very well.
Yeah.
So we really want to thank you.
In fact, Travis and RBros Rifles is one of our partners / sponsors. So thank you, Travis, for your support.
Yes.
I wonder if you could tell our viewers your story in terms of how did the business actually get started? What's kind of the background and the history behind it?
Sure. We grew up. My dad was a kind of a hobbyist gunsmith. And so we grew up in the shop watching him, and naturally we picked it up. We learned the machining, and then we kind of got away from it a little bit during our teen years, like most young boys do, and then picked it up early 30s again, and kind of went a different direction with it than my parents did. I became interested in long-range shooting. 2006 built the first actual real long-range rifle, and started playing. We started shooting matches in 2006. We were invited to do a team match. All we had were our coyote hunting rifles, so that's what we shot. We ended up winning it and thought, man, we should maybe actually build a serious gun. And so we started shooting more matches, and then, as you guys know, that costs money, so the business was kind of started in the thoughts, if we can sell a couple a year, it'll pay for the hobby. And it snowballed from there. That lasted about a year, and then it kind of took off. And I went full-time 2 years ago. It just got too much, so I took a leap of faith and started doing it full-time, and it's no turning back now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a common entrepreneurial story. I mean, you're doing it part-time, and then you quit your day job and you go full-time. So what went through your mind when you finally made that decision to go full-time, to cut the apron strings?
Fear. It was probably one of the scariest things that I've had to do. I think you have a sense of security when you've done something for a long time, and when you start out in a new venture, I mean, it's always a little scary. Even my previous job was, I basically started companies and we sold them, started another company, sold it. I've worked for the same guy since I was 13 years old, and that's what my job was to build the company up, get it profitable, get it huge. We move on to the next project. But doing it for myself was...
It's different.
It's way different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big leap. And once you get over that initial jump, a sense of relief kicks in, and then you can take off and run with it.
Okay. Now, the namesake of RBros Rifles, tell us a little about that. Obviously, many of the folks know Jesse. What's his role, and kind of how does he play into this?
The name came from because we're brothers. We've always shot together. We've done everything together growing up. We hunt, we shoot together, we compete together. So the name just kind of seemed as a natural fit. Our goal always was the company will be big enough someday that both of us will be under one roof, and we'll be working together, hopefully. if we can stand each other that long. So that was always the intent. His role at this point is he does a lot of the marketing, the social media. He's very active at matches. Lots of guys have seen him there at matches and stuff. So he's kind of, I call him kind of the marketing sales guy at this point. He helps me out at trade shows. We live too far apart for him to be able to just run over and help on the machines. So the marketing aspect is easier for him to accomplish from a distance.
Yeah.
Now I know your business is primarily hunting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what, about 20-25% is the long range precision rifle?
Yeah, that's probably pretty close.
But yet, even though that's a smaller part of the business, I understand that you were one of the ones that really got the Northwest Precision Rifle League going, and I just find that very interesting. That while it's a smaller part of your business, it's something that you really helped start. And
sure.
So if you could talk a bit about that.
So in 2006, when we first started shooting matches, there was basically only 2 matches in the Oregon, Washington, Idaho area, and they were annual matches. So we had to travel all over the West to be able to shoot more matches. That's expensive. It prohibited a lot of participation from a local standpoint and getting the sport to grow in the Northwest because of the cost. When Alan and Kevin started the Upper Nisqually matches, that was a good avenue because it was, inexpensive. It was monthly. It's close in a core area where a lot of people can travel. So that was part of the first piece of the puzzle that Jesse and I had kind of always envisioned. And then Tri-County started, the Wenatchee matches started. Then it was just a matter of, okay, we need to coordinate all these matches together and get them in a point system. And that's when I brought the idea up to Kevin to kind of bring everything together, and they've taken it off and just off and running with it. The sponsorships that are coming up for this finale in October are more than I think anybody ever expected.
Yeah, and if you want to find out about the league, you can go to our website because we're hosting the tracker and all the stats on 6.5 guys. And yeah, just to give our viewers some context, when I moved up here in 2008, I mean, there's nothing.
Right.
And there's some months now where in the Pacific Northwest, 3-4 weekends out of the month, there's a match.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the nice thing about this is a lot of the match entries fees are very affordable for the working man,
like 20
bucks,
bucks.
30 bucks.
Yep.
And real serious competition too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not your grandpa's club match.
Right. Yeah. A lot of these guys are actually competing nationally in the PRS. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us use them as practice matches that do shoot PRS because it's good, solid monthly practice. And if you want to shoot more than one a month, I mean, you could literally shoot 3 or 4 of these little monthly PRS matches, and that's pretty good practice.
Yeah. Now, you've been in the custom precision rifle market for 9, almost 10 years, and have seen the huge growth, particularly in the last few years. Now we're also seeing the entry of some of the major manufacturers that are going after this market.
Ruger,
most notably, the Ruger Precision
Ruger,
Rifle. I'm wondering if you could share with us kind of your take in terms of what does it impact in terms of the folks and businesses like yourself or those that are offering accessories.
Mm-hmm. Sure. First, I think it's going to take a small chunk of business in the short term. And then eventually it's going to grow the business from both an aftermarket accessory standpoint and that guy that bought it as an entry-level gun, he's competed for a year or two now, and now he knows exactly what he wants. Mm-hmm. He's going to move on to a custom at that point. And then that rifle will, most likely be resold and somebody else will get into it. So it's going to grow the sport and grow the industry both long term.
Yeah.
But short term, I think it'll take a small chunk out of it, but it's going to be a very short term thing because the accessory market's already ramped up. The rifle's only been out 2 months and everybody's already
Offering new
offering
barrels.
new barrels, new handguards,
Yeah.
safeties. I mean, I think it's going to cause other manufacturers to step up and go, wow, this precision rifle thing is a real deal.
I mean, it's a validation.
Absolutely. Yep.
That it's a robust market. I mean, it's something to pay attention to.
Well, that competition, particularly among big manufacturers, right? I think not only does it kind of raise all the boats, in the lake with the growth of the market, but it provides, I think, more competition. So everyone's just going to have to step up their game to offer a better product.
Yeah, and it's going to spur innovation. I mean,
Yes.
it has to.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to see this design and go, man, why didn't I think of that? Well, what if we did this? And I mean, that's how it all gets started.
Yeah.
So I mean, I see it as a good thing for both the shooting sport and the industry itself.
Now, you're a custom rifle maker, so you'll do what your clientele asks for within reason. But given your experience, and if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, for this game, what would you recommend?" I mean, what are some of the basic things or styles of rifle and equipment that you think work rather well in this game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we kind of have a series of questions that we'll go through with new customers. Basically, a kind of a shooting biography. We want to know their background, what they intend to do with it, and then we'll start to formulate a plan from that, from rifle configuration, caliber, weight, optics, the whole gamut. If it's left up to us, the configuration ends up pretty similar to your rifle, because this is kind of an evolution of over the last 10 years of competition for Jesse and I, what we run and kind of what we found works best for us and our shooting. And really, if you look at a lot of the PRS rifles out there, the style is pretty much the same. You have this design or you have a chassis design. Mm-hmm. It's more caliber, and obviously there's challenges with everybody because one size doesn't fit all. So you can vary weights and barrel contours to get it within a weight range, stock design to fit. But this is our standard competition platform. Mm-hmm. That if somebody goes, I just want a PRS gun, this is it's very flexible and doable.
Yeah, and people have always asked, or a number of folks have asked us, well, why aren't you running a butt hook? Isn't that like what you're supposed to be doing in tactical shooting? And so you've pointed out to us just some benefits of this design. And
I'm not going to call it an advantage because somebody will call me on that.
Okay.
My benefit for this type of stock in my shooting is it allows me to use the angle of the stock to adjust it on the bag for my elevation. I can set my bipod at a height and I can run all of my elevation off the rear bag.
Yeah.
With a butt hook style, this essentially comes out flat and then hooks in. So you need to get your bipod set. I mean, you're running your elevation more off your bipod than you are off the back of the gun. It's slower.
Or you end up doing a squeeze.
Or yeah, exactly. You end up doing a squeeze, and consistency, unless you do it a lot, your consistency will fail. This just allows you more flexibility for how we shoot.
Yeah.
And and how we teach guys when we're in our classes is to use that bag to run your elevation and work your gun. It's faster.
Now, as a custom rifle maker, I'm sure you know, customers' tastes vary substantially.
Sure.
I mean, what kind of interesting stories do you have in terms of, you know, kind of really wild or different builds? And where do you draw the line?
Well, as long as it's not a safety issue, generally I'll go ahead with it, because in the end result it's your build. It's not mine. It's what you envisioned your dream rifle to be. Now, I will make some suggestions, but the end result will be what you wanted. The common problem that I see, or it's more of a mistake, guys will try to get deals on parts, and they'll try to put a bunch of things together that weren't necessarily supposed to go together.
Okay.
And it may save you money short term, but in the long run, after you pay somebody to put this mess of parts that were never designed to go together, you could have just worked with your smith and said, hey,
Right.
this is what I want, and let them handle it.
Are you seeing things like nostalgic items like Grandpa's stock, or?
Yes, you'll get a lot of, I've got this stock off this old rifle, I bought this barrel off Sniper's Hide, you know, this action was supposed to be trued, but I don't know if it is. Hey, I found this bottom metal on eBay, I want to use it. Well, none of it was supposed to go together.
Yeah.
And it can go together. It's just time and money to put it together. So, you know, that $300 or $400 that you saved by accumulating all this, you just kind of shuck that out the window by paying for the labor to make it all work together.
Yeah.
And another thing too is you recommend loads with each of your rifles.
Yes.
Which, by the way, have just all been hammers. I mean, the loads that he's recommended is what we shoot in matches. They're just spot on. So you kind of give that up when you have a Franken rifle.
Yes, because when you have a Franken rifle, there's too many variables involved in what's going to happen. It's difficult for me as a builder to guarantee that you're going to have sub-half MOA accuracy out of stuff that you don't even know what it is, let alone I know what it is. You know, for example, I had a customer bring me a Remington action that was supposed to be trued up. The barrel, he had no idea who even manufactured it. None.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? The receiver was about 4.5 thousandths out of square across the face. The barrel, I mean, I never did find a pilot that actually fit it. I went clear oversized for a 6.5 bore to the point to where I was getting close to a 270 bore, and it still was not working correctly. Obviously, I don't know what he paid for the barrel, but
You probably got a really good deal on it.
yes,
eBay.
you know, so there's some, you need to be careful, and, you know, obviously, I mean, if you order a Bartland barrel, you know what you're going to get, or a Krieger or a Broughton, you know exactly what you're going to get, but bringing your builder a hodgepodge of parts is not, and then expecting a miracle out of it, you know, good machining will only go so far. Quality parts help all as well.
Cartridges.
Yep.
A lot of discussion around cartridges, different calibers, 6.5 versus 6mm. What are you seeing?
The matches are kind of dictating the cartridges for the precision rifle shooting. Years ago, it was all field matches. We didn't have match booklets that gave us ranges. We didn't have any of that. It was, you get to the stage, you range your targets, you shoot them. The flattest, fastest thing that you could use, that's what you wanted. The progression from there went to, the matches started toning down a little bit and being confined to square ranges, I'm going to call them. So now barrel life came into play. So everybody shifted to 6.5. 6 mils were the minority. The Berger 105 hybrid came out. Everybody wanted a 6 mil at that point. 6.5s fell off of the chart. Literally, I mean, there was, 1 or 2% of the guys were running them, and everybody else was running 6 mil.
Yep.
Now it's beginning to come back the other way again, and it's probably pretty close to 50-50 right now, maybe one way or the other a little bit, but because the matches are all known yardage, we have positional, the benefits of that rifle shooting a little flatter aren't necessarily that's not where we want anymore. Consistency is now becoming the key, and you see a lot of guys, a lot of the top competitors, even if they are running a 6 mil, they're running them slow. They're not running them full tilt. They're running them at a nice mellow speed. The 6.5 guys, a lot of them are running 140s at 2770 to 2800.
So not barn burners by
Right,
any
not barn burners,
yeah.
but the consistency of them is, what made the 308 famous.
Yeah. And most of your points are going to be, under 800 yards.
Absolutely, the bulk of the points are between 300 and 600 yards.
Yeah.
And it's barrel life, really. I mean, that's really probably the key
Absolutely,
dictator, right?
Yeah, you get twice the barrel life out of a 6.5, and especially for the newcomers to the sport, it makes 100% sense to go with a 6.5 because they can't afford a second practice gun.
Yeah.
So they can practice and shoot matches with the same rifle, get to know that gun really well, and then as they progress in the sport, they can determine at that point whether they need to step up or get a second.
And that's the point
gun.
where we're at. I mean, we're basically using our match rifles for practice guns.
Sure.
We're in the process of trying to get some trainers built.
Sure.
So.
Right, and it's almost as if, because I remember when I first dabbled in this when I lived down in California, you got a 308. And 6.5, maybe some people were shooting 6.5, 284,
Sure.
300 Win Mag, and that was like exotic. But now, when I got back into this just a few years ago, it's like 6.5 is the new 308.
Absolutely. And it's, the barrel life on it versus a 6mm allows a guy a lot more trigger time. Sure, there's a small difference in recoil between the two, but it's a good break. It's almost, you'd probably have to have some kind of a device to really measure it.
Yeah. So for the folks in our audience that are probably looking at a custom build, obviously they should consider RBros Rifles. So if you guys haven't, be sure to check out the website and Facebook page. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of the order process, wait times?
Sure.
What does that look like?
Wait times are running on most builds are around 4 months or less. As long as it isn't something wild where you want some special stock design or something, you want flush cuts all over the stock. And that includes left-handed rifles too.
We're not left out.
You're not left out at all, because I do inventory, left-hand inventory now. So there's, between stocks, actions, and triggers, the lefties are also taken care of so that they don't have to wait a year anymore for a rifle. As far as the order process, I mean, it's kind of like, I'm going to refer to it as buying a car. I mean, there's some options you can go over, we sit down with everybody, go over caliber selection, intended use, what you want the rifle to weigh, the colors, it's kind of like buying a car at this point.
Yeah. And I had mine dipped even, so that was kind of...
Sure, we do we use a local company here 15 minutes down the road to do all of our hydro dipping, and, if it's painted finish, it's done in the shop.
Yep.
Everything's done there. So we work with everybody 100% every step of the way on, everything from caliber to weight to colors.
And recommended loads.
Yep. All the rifles are broken in and range tested before they leave.
Check out my test target here, guys. We're here to actually pick up my rebarreled rifle, but I was pretty happy. It's a 8 shots, 5-shot group, and a 3-shot
Yep.
group.
Yep.
Yeah, and I had a similar test target, and,
Yeah.
and that's nice to see that. So when I have a problem, it's me, because Jesse could clearly, or Travis rather, can clearly shoot bug holes with it.
Yeah, and that's it's an important thing to get the rifle and know that it performs rather than open a box and hope it performs.
Right. Right.
You know, there's a difference there. And I know when I actually bought a custom rifle years and years and years ago, and just because I wanted to see what somebody else's work looked like. And I got the rifle and it had not even been fired. And that's kind of, unfortunately, that's part of the industry. And I was like, man, if you're going to spend $4,000 or $5,000 for a rifle, it better
Work.
Right, and
work
have
and
a
be
test
proven,
target. Yeah.
and have everything. So that's just part of our, that was, I do 15 to 20 rifles a month, and I test fire every single one of them and break them in. It takes a long time, but it's a peace of mind for me and for the end user.
And your service area, the whole U.S., actually a majority, you said, of your clients are
Yep.
not in the local area, but
Yes.
all over. So.
Yep.
Well, Travis, thank you for
Yep.
spending some time with us today,
Yep.
and spending some time with our audience. We
Sure.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Guys, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Be sure to share it with your friends on Facebook, and also check out our Twitter feed. We are continuing to kind of post up our day-to-day activities around shooting and fitness and so on.
And also check out our website, www.65guys.com, because we have a detailed write-up for each video. So we'll give you links and references to some of the products and things that we talked about here in the video. So definitely check that out. And remember, folks, life's an adventure.
Stay on target.